And that was a huge turning point. I'm very grateful that I'm able to pick apart these points in my life and actually just go, stop feeling sorry for yourself, or mate, you need to do something about it, and pull myself up on it and make the changes. Because every time I've done that, I have my little pity party and I move on, and something good always comes from it.
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Level Up. We are back in the shed for another cracking episode this afternoon. I'm pumped. I'm pumped about every podcast we do, but we've just been having some conversation off air before we started recording this one, and I'm already super excited. So the young man that we've got for you today is absolutely kicking goals. I take my hat off to him. He's thinking outside the box. He's running multiple companies. And he's just bought a small farm, so I'm pretty keen to get into that as well. But massive warm welcome to Antonio from Nailed It Constructions. How are you, mate?
Thank you, mate. Yeah, good. Thanks for having me.
Mate, I'm pumped to have a chat to you because like you're kicking goals, like you're thinking outside the box. You've really diversified over the last couple of years with multiple companies. So I'm really keen to dig into your mindset and what's made you get to where you are, mate.
For sure.
So I'm not sure exactly when or how we first met. I think it might have been through some messages on Instagram or something.
I think it was. It was just when you were getting that builders group started. Yeah, it was, and then we did a couple of builders groups and got that going. Yeah. Yeah.
So you've been one of the early members that was with the builders breakfast groups that we're catching up here in Brisbane. And let's start with that because you were just saying that. Like, because you hadn't been in business too long, had you, when we started that? Like, only a few years.
Yeah, look, I started Nailed It 2014. It was. So, slow burn, though, because I was 22 when I started that. And then, obviously, got a hold of the social media aspect and sort of went from there. So, I think when we had that Builders Breakfast group, probably like 3 years into properly having a crack at the building side of things,
Yeah. And you were just saying like how valuable that was to you, just being able to catch up with other builders and listen in and put questions out there and that type of stuff.
Oh, look, I think the most important, what I took away from that the most was it was so refreshing to hear that I wasn't the only one going through some of the stuff that I was. You know what I mean? To hear that from other builders as well, it's just like, oh shit. Okay, it's not just me. It's nice to hear that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Took heaps away from it all. And I think that was probably the most important thing, that I wasn't alone in the way I felt. So it was always refreshing to hear that and have a conversation.
Well, mate, look, this podcast really is just an extension of that. Like, we just want to get the message out to more people, more of the industry, help builders have incredible businesses and tradies, but also help clients, get the projects that they deserve to be getting.
Look, love what you're doing with this stuff too, because I think the industry definitely needs something like it. Because much like what I think you're trying to shake is that whole stigma around builders and being dodgy and the current affair builders, you know what I mean? So I think it's great.
My whole goal, mate, I've had this goal for a long time, and I reckon we're nearly there. Like, you'd know yourself, like as a builder, you might not have got as much of it, you're a bit younger, but I just got sick and tired of, like, because I'm a builder, everywhere I went, it didn't matter if it was a family barbecue, a friend's birthday party, whatever, as soon as someone found out you're a builder, fuck, like the horror stories just come out. Yeah. Oh, builders rip you off, builders do this, builders do that. And I want to turn up to a barbecue and people tell me the incredible experience they had. Like, so
I'm yet to hear it, I think.
Oh, mate, look, there's definitely a lot out there now. There's a lot of people in our industry now doing great things. A lot of people on social media doing good things. And I think, like, you're playing a part also. Like, you got pretty heavy in the social media. Like, for a while there, you were just, like, every day pumping it, weren't you?
Yeah, it's a full-time job. Look, I enjoyed it. And the feedback that I got, I did, as we discussed before, take a little bit of a spell from it. But I didn't realise the impact that I had on a lot of my followers because, as you know, with a lot of social media, you don't truly realise, much like this podcast we were saying before, you don't realise how many people are actually watching, you know what I mean? How many people engage. And when I did take a spell, I actually had a lot of people reach out and just go, mate, you're good? You still going? Like, I missed the story updates, you know? Yeah. And I just respond, yeah, still here, still punching away. And when I got back into them recently, they're not as hectic as they used to be. But when I get back into them, people, like, I get heaps of messages just going, "Oh, he's back, love it."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess the reason why I started doing it was because not many people did the daily updates like I did. And like, I'm passionate about building a nice home and delivering. And a lot of people heard that that's what I delivered in my daily updates. And just education, you know what I mean? Just little bits and pieces on, it doesn't matter how fast you're getting through it, but it's what you're doing and the steps in between. And I find that, in the early stages, that's what I sort of try to deliver with my clients in the contract stages is, education and just actually helping them understand what they're getting for in that price.
Yeah. It's huge, mate. Education is the key to a successful outcome. And I love what you do. I'm a big fan of that as well. I actually believe that, like, the clients out there that scroll through these builders and look, Instagram or social media is a funny thing. Like, you look at the builders that got the really nice detailed pages with all the fluffy pillows and nice pictures. Like, it's almost a false perception because when you, as a client, if you go to build with those builders, you're expecting a perfect product, but you actually don't know anything about what's happened to get that to that point. By you showing all your daily videos, like, I'm sure your clients are no different to ours. Like, by the time they come to you, they know most of your team, they know your personality, they know how, like, the things that you look for on your site. They come to you because you're solving their problems, you're giving them confidence, they're building trust with you through the videos you're doing.
Absolutely. And I guess another side to that is they have an expectation before they meet me. So I guess when I meet these people as well, it's almost like they already know me, you know. So I've done like half the hard work kind of before I met them, but
you don't have to turn up and do the hard sell.
No. I do that just on a daily basis, just by being me. And I was always I always tried to deliver a true sense of who I am. And that's on a daily basis. So what you see is what you get. And when I meet you in person, it's the same thing. How I talk, how I treat my staff on site in the videos is how I treat them in real life. And how I talk to my clients is how I talk to anyone else. You know what I mean? So I guess it's just who I was. It wasn't the whole, like you just said, all the fluffy cushions. You know what I mean? It is what you see is what you get.
You're telling people a story.
Yeah.
Like, you're giving them an insight into what it's actually going to be like when they sign a contract with you.
Yeah.
But what made you take a break?
Man, I had a rough 3 years. COVID, like, not in business. I actually had, the best three years of business in my life, but I had some heavy losses. I lost my old man nearly coming up 3 years in March. That was sudden. And then 12 months later, I lost my mother-in-law, so my wife lost her mum as well.
Sorry to hear that, mate.
Yeah. Oh, look, it is. I'm happy to talk about it. I love talking about it. I miss them dearly, but I also love to keep the memory going. So, at the end of the day, as you know, you've got business, you've got people to feed, you've got people to support as well. So, in that time, I had my family to support. I had my team, my staff as well, and the show went on, mate. My father passed away on the Saturday, and I started a brand new job on the Monday, and I delivered on time that job. Not a day late, you know what I mean? So I guess that was, and my clients at that point too, they were Italian, so word got out pretty quickly. Yeah. And I got a message on the Sunday. She obviously found out and she said, don't feel like, don't worry about starting our place. And I was like, nah, it's not the type of person I am, you know what I mean? So the last 3 years for me was just punch. It was just like I said to you before, clockwork. Wake up and get shit done every single day. But I delivered, and that was the most important part for me. And I just got to the end of last year. You might have seen the place that I built for myself. That was our family home. No word of a lie. I was like, nah, we're building this, and we're just gonna enjoy it for a little bit, right?
What was it? Because you name your projects, don't you?
El Gorzo, that was. Yeah, that was our first, my first development with me and my wife. That we did on our own. Yeah, we name our clients ones as well, but I generally let them do it,
Yeah.
But this one for us, so
that was a cracking property too.
Oh, there was so much passion. That was a lot of us. We'd just done 2 years for our honeymoon, and the year after that in Europe.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of inspiration from that as well. But like we were talking about before, I'm always a little bit left of centre. So we enjoyed it in a little bit, but I just can't sit still. And one day I just went to my wife, babe, it's now or never. We've got to sell, or, we're going to miss the mark a little bit. And sure enough, I was right. And sad to see it go. My little boy Giorgio was saying, Baba, I really missed the house. He calls me Baba instead of Dad.
What did your wife say, mate?
She was against it to start with.
Yeah.
But we're very in sync with a lot of the stuff we do, like everyday stuff. That house, that when we built that, in building months, so not including Christmas, that was a 7-month turnaround.
Jeez, that's smashing out, because that wasn't a small place either.
No, so we put that on hold because, again, I lost my father, so I put that on. I just didn't do anything for a couple of months with it, and then we started a couple of days after his birthday in August, and finished it in April, early April it was, for my 30th.
Yeah.
And that was one of my biggest goals. I wanted to own a multi-million-dollar home before I was 30. And I achieved it like literally on the day. I was finishing it for my 30th birthday, and then we had the party that night. I'm there siliconing, doing the final touches and whatnot. So great story. Had a great memory. Like the last 3 years have been exceptional, apart from, the heavy learnings that I got. But I'm also a big believer of things happen to only those who can handle it. So, a lot of mindset learning I sort of learned over the last 3 years. So,
yeah. So what was the big shift? So
the shift is
you took a break from, you sold the house, you took a break from your socials.
Just needed a bit of time to just digest what happened in the last 3 years. You know what I mean? Just everything. Like I had so many achievements. But it was just a lot. Like it was big nights, big days. I'm sure you can relate to that. And it just went to a point where like, no, I need a little bit of time to myself. I started to do it for the money, like I said to you before. And I've never done anything for the money ever. I've been so passionate about what I built, and like a lot of passion went into that home that we built and all that sort of stuff. And when I sort of, everything just became a little bit harder for me, just harder to stay organised, harder to organise my guys, harder to, you know what I mean? And when I started, I was missing. I was just misfiring. You know what I mean? And I went, this isn't me. That was
like you personally, like you were,
yep.
Well, I think it's a credit to you, mate, like that you picked up on that, because so many people just keep pushing and pushing.
Nah, I'm pretty assertive with all that sort of stuff. And like I said, when it just become a little bit harder than it should have for me. And I started just diving in and just going, what is it? Figured it out. Just like we were still building over that time. I just removed myself from socials because I didn't want to be on the camera. Like I said, what you see is what you get. I didn't want to be delivering that just monotoned, no passion in my voice, because it's not who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no one's going to want anyone like that building their houses for that time, I still loved what I did, but I just had to pull myself up on it. So that was the most important part for me. And in that time, I just took a little bit of a look on the whole business, and I just went, I want to do something different here. So I took the chance to rebrand. So we rebranded all our logos and whatnot, a nice new fresh take on it, which is what I wanted to come back when I hit the ground running.
Branding's massive, isn't it? Like,
huge.
I think so many builders overlook the power of branding. Yeah. Like you've been really successful with it, and now, like you've got this other venture now, and like the branding of that's really, really good as well. So
it is, and that's something that like you just mentioned, it's very important, because people judge you. It doesn't matter what. Don't judge a book by its cover, all that sort of stuff. Everyone does it, man. Everyone
that's just
does
what
it.
Happens, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
that's what I say to even my staff. Like, looks at everything. Don't come to work in board shorts. You know what I mean? Like, it's all those little bits and pieces, because it's just presenting yourself well. You are your own brand individually, and that's what I say to my staff. Like, if you're going to be with me for 10 years or 3 years, right? When you leave me, you are your brand. Create it. Start creating it now. Yeah. But yeah, so just to circle back on that, I needed to take that break. So I used that time for a few months at the start of the year just to, rebrand. And I made a big decision for me within the company to just go referral only. So no just off the cuff people. It's just referral only business now. So clients, designers that I work with, people I know, and that was hard for me, because as you'd probably be something similar, where you're hard to say no to some degree.
Not anymore, mate.
Not anymore, but at one point it can be your undoing at some point.
Builders are people pleasers, mate. And so many people fall into a trap that having shitloads of inquiry and trying to please everybody and trying to squeeze every job in, like, is the way to run a business, and it's complete opposite. And a lot of the time, it's a false sense of security, because a lot of builders out there that are running around chasing their tail, got lots of inquiry and think they're doing the right thing by taking on these jobs, are only in that position because they're too cheap and don't know their numbers.
Yeah.
So getting yourself into a position like you have, where you know the clients you want, like, that is just like, that's where the magic happens.
It is, and like I said, it's never about the money. You know, I probably still think I am cheap for what I deliver because I know I can deliver, but it is the passion for me. It's the people, the relationships is very important for me, and I think that is something, the relationships, that people see past, because I couldn't build what I do without the relationships I have with my trade, and it is the biggest compliment I get from my clients on how good, lovely my trades are and my workers are.
Yeah. It's that, like, that is, like, at the end of the day, like, they're your marketing as well. Like, how your trades show up, how they treat your clients, how they respond to emails, all those things. Like, it's a reflection on you, and whatever, like, you're only going to be as good as what you accept.
100%.
If you've got shitty trades or shitty staff or shitty suppliers,
it's a reflection of you at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Culture's huge, especially for us. You know, I treat my staff like family, but also I don't ever yell at anyone. I pull anyone aside if there's any differences or whatever the case is, but I try to build. So, you know, I do performance reviews, so it's a good chance for your staff to sort of tell you what they are and aren't happy with, whether it's either at the workplace or with themselves or whatever, and you get a chance to build on them as well. So putting time back into your staff is also important.
Oh, 100%. I think, like, I'm really glad you touched on relationships, because again, just going through all the shit I did over the years and then being in the position we're in now, like, it's funny because I really changed my spiel now, the way I talk to people. Like, I actually believe our business is all about building relationships more than it is building houses. And, like, when you can figure out what your passion is and your values and your beliefs and your passions and all those things, and you can translate that into connecting with people and building relationships with like-minded people, that is where the business just takes off.
Yeah, that's where the party starts. I get excited talking about that sort of stuff, because I think it's just something that, like, it goes unnoticed all the time.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing to hear that from someone like yourself as well, because it's true. It's not only just in business, it's in life in general. Relationships are a very powerful tool. Yeah.
Are you big on, well, obviously you're coming to the builders breakfast groups, but like networking, are you a big networker? You're like...
Yeah, I do believe in it 100%. It's something that I haven't done a lot of. It's something that I'm getting into a little bit more now. What you touched on before, I was kind of always a private person. You know what I mean? I kind of just like to fly under the radar. And I mean, it contradicts everything that I was doing on social media, right? But I was still a private person, so I only sort of...
But you're only putting out what you wanted to put out.
Like, only what I wanted people to see, yeah. And, you know, believe it or not, I was a little bit shy at some point to go out and network, and I just thought, you know, like, how do I start a conversation? All that, obviously that comes with time and whatnot. So I've always kept to myself a little bit. I did what I needed to do, but I do believe in it 100%. Yeah, I've got a couple of mates that do it exceptionally well.
Because I'm the same, mate. Like, I only put out what I want to show people. But, and same deal. And I think it's a good message, because I know there are so many incredible builders out there that are losing opportunities because they won't take that step to put themselves out there and get on their phone and walk around. And I don't know if they're too worried about what the rest of the industry is going to think, or their possible clients going to think, or whatever. But that's what we're talking about. Like, when you do that, you will attract people that are attracted to you, not to the price on the bottom of a piece of paper.
100%. And I'll never forget the first ever video I did. And I was grateful the guy that shot it for me. He was very enthusiastic in telling me how I should talk on the camera. And, do it again. You need to be more enthusiastic, you know, and just the way, like, I'll never forget that time. And I remember seeing myself on that video and just went, oh, cringe, what's everyone going to think of me? And when I posted that, I had the most hectic feedback, like, oh, this is the next Scotty Cam, just the way I was talking, you know, I was very enthusiastic because he made me be. And I had really good feedback, and that was the start of it for me. And again, like what you said, walking around on your phone doing daily updates and stuff, a lot of people are they're either scared to talk, or most of the time they're scared of what people think of them, or what they sound like, or shit, are people going to judge me on my job site? Which, they're all probably valid points. At the end of the day, you can't care to some degree because you got to show what you...
It's a job site.
Exactly right. Yeah. It is huge. For me, it was very, very powerful tool that I sort of utilised, and coming into the build of El Gorzo, it did pay off for me a lot. I had a lot of brand partners. I got a lot of contribution for the house, and how I gave back was through the YouTube series that I did of El Gorzo. So I think it was 6 series, and we dove into little bits and pieces, choosing tiles, going to do this, and the boys on site. And what I wanted to do out of that was I wanted to show culture. I wanted to show the guys on site, people giving each other shit, the big lunch cook-ups that we did with that our plumbers put on for us.
I think it was awesome, mate. I think, I don't know, one of the vids, I think you and your wife were out selecting something, and I don't know, you said, I'm not having that shit, or something. I can't remember what it was, but it was funny.
That's the first episode, a bit of a crack. My wife had a bit of a crack too, which is good. Had good feedback from that, but that was what it was. 100%. It was keeping it real, and that's what we wanted to show. Like, my wife was really nervous to do that again, about putting yourself out there and doing that sort of stuff, because but after the first episode, it was just, you just sort of fall into it, you know. You probably felt like that doing this podcast at one point, but
still feel like it some days now, mate. Depends on the day you have.
But it rolls off the tongue, and like, it's just a conversation, and that's how I always sort of just picture it. If it's, you know, the stories, whatever, it's just a conversation I'm having with myself. I walk around, I used to care about what the guys on site, my boys, think of me. And so I used to go real quiet, and I used to be like, so over here we're doing this, and then he's in that bathroom, and then we're back out here, like, just because I didn't want them to hear it. But then at the end of the day, like, they start fucking with me all the time. Who are you talking to? Like, in the background, you might have heard them a few times, but again, culture, you know, it's very important to network and get yourself out there.
Oh, mate, so socials are just so important. Like, they're basically, like, I say it all the time. Like, I think socials are the new word of mouth. Like, people will find you on your socials if they.
It's your new website.
If they drive past your site or someone mentions you, the first thing they're going to go and see is if you've got a Facebook or an Instagram.
Absolutely.
And they'll start to follow you. They might follow you for a month or 2 years before they reach out, but it's a new word of mouth. Like, that's
the way I look at it is it's a constantly updated website. It's something that you're updating every day, or however frequently that you do it. Whereas most of the time on the website, you'll update it once a month or once every couple of months, leave it there, and you put most of your time into your socials. You know what I mean? So it is important. It's a good showcase for everything you do. So I think what you want people to see.
100%. I think, like, it's a credit to you for recognising that you needed that time to take a step back, because, like, social media is very addictive, and it's not hard to get sucked into just seeing what people are commenting on, seeing what people are liking, going and checking your competition, all those types of things. Like, I liked what you mentioned before we start recording, how social media is giving people a very false sense of what they should be or what they need to try and be.
Where they should be in life, whatever it is it's doing. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know, there was also a really important turning point in my life when I was younger, you know, that around 23 when I just started out, a couple of years in. And I used to look at other builders and whether they were younger or old or whatever, and I used to sit on my phone and just go, oh, fuck, why aren't I getting jobs like that? You know, why is that? Like, why? And I used to just, you know, the pity party crap.
Yeah.
And, mate, the most powerful point of that was putting my phone down and actually putting in the work. And that was I stopped caring about what everyone else was doing. I focused on myself.
Yeah.
And that was a huge turning point. I'm very grateful that I'm able to pick apart these points in my life and actually just go, stop feeling sorry for yourself, or, mate, you need to do something about it, and pull myself up on it and make the changes, because every time I've done that, have my little pity party and I move on, and something good always comes from it. You know what I mean?
Do you, so is that, like, is that part of your sort of just natural thing that you do? Like, every now and then you reflect a little bit on where you are and what you've been doing and how it's been happening, and then look at how you can improve it? Like,
it's probably not something I do enough, I think. It is one of my goals that I haven't also done enough is celebrating your wins. That's huge. I've done that more this year than I ever have previously, because where I am right now is exactly where I wanted to be 10 years ago. And it's easy to sit here now and go, how can I be doing better? So yeah, you do need to. And when you do, it's a very surreal moment. I think me and my wife had that moment when we built the house, and sort of unlocked that huge goal of building a house like that for 30, before I was 30. And then when we sold it, you know what I mean? Like they were just some really big ticket items that I'd really focused on in the last 10 years. So having those moments of reflection, absolutely. Sometimes they're unintentional. Like I said before, you sit there, social media, and you just start diving into other people's crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you find yourself just feeling sorry for yourself. And then
it's terrible, mate.
Yeah, it is. But everyone goes through it. You know what I mean? And I'm grateful that I can pull myself up on it, but
it's
not as much now as when I was younger. But yeah,
it's easy to get sucked into. But reflection's really important, I think. Like, and enjoying the journey. Like, do you think like taking that break in the last sort of 8-9 months and reflecting on that has changed how you will move forward? Like, so do you think you could have been focused on the wrong things instead of actually appreciating the journey you're on?
Oh, absolutely. I've always been a fan of the journey, I will say that. But yeah, the time that I took off definitely just changed my mindset and how to do things. Like, I'm just doing things differently now, and I'm back to enjoying it. Like, I've got a smaller team now, which, for me, it was always like you sometimes you look at the wrong things. You're like, oh, I've got to have a big team to be successful. I've got to have 5 jobs to be successful. In that time that I've sort of been reflecting, I've done a lot of work on myself, like mentally and as well. And you kind of look at things heaps differently. And you look at the most important parts of every situation and pull apart what you need to. And like, having a big team wasn't success. Like, success for me right now is time.
Mate.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're singing my song, mate.
It's time. It's freedom. Freedom, being able to just take a day off with my family and just go somewhere. Still haven't perfected it though.
But the thing is, you've acknowledged it, and it's something you work towards. And I think that's a really important part. Like, so many people don't acknowledge it. And it's like, I know I did it for years. It is so easy to get caught up and just purely focus on the end goal. And so every day becomes a battle because all you want to do is get to the end. Yeah,
you're focused on the end goal and not everything that happens in between.
Yeah, all the little bits and pieces. Like you said, you don't celebrate the little wins along the way. And one of my big learnings was if I'm not happy with where I am right now today, why will I be happy when I get to the next stage?
Absolutely.
And the next stage and the next stage. So
when are you ever going to be happy?
Yeah.
That's the question you got to ask. If you're not happy now, then what will make you happy?
Yeah. So like reflecting on things and acknowledging where you are and what you have and people you've helped out and the homes you've built and your team you have, all those types of things. And then reflecting on that and being grateful.
Absolutely, man. Gratitude. Yeah. Very powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think enough people take the time out to. And it doesn't matter what level you're at, like whether you're just starting out, whether you're in a shitty situation at the moment, like everybody has something that mate, for me, just being able to open my eyes in the morning and be on this planet.
Oh, absolutely.
That's grateful.
Time's short, man. That's something I learned the hard way. You know what I mean? And you're not guaranteed every day to be here, so fucking enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's something that actually, that was a powerful learning for me, talking about gratitude as well and being grateful. That was something that... an exercise that my business coach or mentor or whatever you want to call him, it was an exercise that she made me do every night before I went to bed. I had to write down 10 things, different things I was grateful for every single night before I went to bed. And they couldn't, and she made me do it for like 4 weeks, So I had to do something different. That was like however many different things I had to come up with. And what that exercise for me helped me understand was, you start thinking about what you truly are grateful for. The chair you're sitting on, the shoes you're putting on every day, the fresh clothes, the sun. Yeah, exactly right. All the little things, the relationships you have, and it just pulled apart every little bit of your day that you're grateful for. And it's not just the big things. It's not just the cars you drive and, the house you live in. Yeah. It's all the important stuff that gets you through each day.
Yeah.
The journey stuff, So yeah, very, very important knowledge.
Do you do that regularly, or did you only do
Oh, I did that. That was an exercise. But sometimes when I do, like, you feel a little bit down about, it's not down about something, but just ungrateful, I guess. You take things for granted a little bit. Yeah, I try to exercise that. I might not write them down now, but I'll lay in bed and just sort of say to myself 3 or 4 things that I've been grateful for the day. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a reality check.
Mate, I try and do it at least a few times a week.
Yeah.
Just before I go to bed. And my thing with it is I write what's there. I don't force it. So some nights it might be 5 things.
Yep.
Other nights it'll be 2 pages.
Yeah.
But I don't force it. Like, if it's there and it's sitting there and I'm grateful for it and I appreciate it and I reflect on things, I just smash it out. And for me, I believe that just writing it before you go to bed, that's what you're taking to bed.
It's great. Do you write just like random things or like whatever comes to your mind? Or
so what I do, I probably do multiple things. So I write things that I appreciate, things that I'm grateful for. I write things that I've achieved, and then I write things that I'm like goals, but I write them in a way, like my goals I write as if I've already achieved them. So I have, mate, I write like, I write anything. I have a tractor, I have 100 cows, I have a farm, I have an incredible, but I even write, I write things that I know I need to be better at. So like quite often I write, I need to have more date nights.
Yeah.
I need to spend more time with my kids. I write, I spend a lot of time with my kids. Like I try and reinforce things that
it's positive. Want to
do. Yeah. And I try and do that at least a few times a week.
Yeah, that's personal, powerful stuff that not a lot of people are willing to do every night. You know what I mean? It's something that I exercise as well. A little bit differently, but they're more like the way I look at it. I look at things in terms of trying to change myself for the better. So sometimes they're not about gratitude or goals, but they're about little bits and pieces. Like I speak confidently.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Mate,
like those
deal.
sorts of words, and it's self-belief as well.
Yeah.
Which builds you as more of a powerful and presentable person.
Yeah.
Which is what you need to be as a leader. You know what I mean? And you want to show your staff that and the people around that, and you want to leave a presence. And one of the things that I've always that I've been working on for 12 months is I always wanted to leave a conversation with positivity and someone feeling good about themselves, and I think that's just always nice. I've been thankfully graced with a lot of friends that do have that presence on me as well, so when you leave you're always kind of like that's a good conversation, I enjoyed that, you know what I mean? Just really positive, and that's a real
powerful thing to have in the back of your mind. Like if you're turning up to every situation with that in your mind, that you want to leave the situation positive, like that's huge.
It is, because that's how people, that's someone's last memory of you. And that's also an important thing to think about as well, because if you're an asshole and you just sprayed someone for something that you don't even know and then you leave, that's their last memory of you.
Yeah.
And when someone brings you up again, what do you think they're going to say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get bees with honey, not vinegar, and that's the biggest thing that I've ever that's something that I try to practice sort of every day. It doesn't always happen like that, but it's something that I practice every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you mentioned you get coaching, mentoring, whatever you want to call it, but has that helped you sort of get to the next level of where you want to be?
Oh, absolutely. It's helped me understand the process of everything a little bit more, and like being a person, and other people, understanding other people, like you mentioned before and you touched on before. That's something that's very, for me, very powerful, because you can handle situations, clients, staff, random people, any situation in your life. You can if you understand people, you can handle situation a lot better without obviously, getting into arguments or whatever that case may be. So, that's personal development stuff that I sort of, at one point, well, it was after sort of my father passed away, right? And throughout that whole process, I never sort of woke up and felt sorry for myself. I just everything was hard. You know what I mean? Waking up was hard. Making the bed was hard. Just going to work was hard, and rightly so, right? It's warranted sort of emotion, but I I just couldn't deal. I just couldn't, like, it's just not me. Like, I handle things how I wanted to handle them, and I just went, I need to figure this out. You know what I mean? I can't go through every day like this. I need to process that emotion, and that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? Sort of understanding yourself, and then when you can understand all those little bits and pieces about yourself, you know how to handle it, you know how to move on, and you can obviously help other people go through that as well.
Definitely.
And for me, I sort of like, especially my staff and stuff like that, I love helping people. I love giving people advice. Up to them if they want to take. If they don't want to take it, I'll stop talking. But I mean, anyone that sort of like is you know, wants to have a chat about something, I'm more than happy to spread my knowledge on that too. And you can't really do that if you don't really understand. You know what I mean?
So what are you passionate about who you've become, and like are you, when you reflect on things now, have you broken a mold, like the way you're brought up and beliefs you had, like
yeah, that's a really good question. That is a really good question. Yeah, because a lot of the stuff that that sort of, I practice doing that sort of stuff is trying to break those bad habits, whether it's generational thing or, you know, past life stuff. But effectively, it's trying to change myself and get myself out of bad little habits and train of thoughts. Probably the most relatable one, right, was success, right? And this is a really big one for me. Previously, success was money. It was a dollar value in my bank.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't care what anyone says at one point in their life, that's what they think. Whether it's now or in 10 years' time, they've had that thought. And that was huge, because it didn't matter how many jobs I had, how many staff I had. Like, if I didn't have a certain amount of money in my bank, I wasn't successful.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest molds I broke, because as I touched on before, money doesn't even sit in success anymore. You know what I mean? For me, success is time and freedom. The two biggest things for me. And whilst I'm still working on them, I'm not perfect. Like, if you ask my wife, she'll be like, time, you're never fucking home before 6 o'clock. You know, but like, time management, little bits and pieces, it's step-by-step stuff. So like, I am sort of learning, like, my wife loves a holiday. I'm always like, I'm going to be busy around that time. You know what I mean? And it's changing that perception as well. Yeah. So yes, it is breaking those molds.
It's incredible. Like, I love it now. Like, I'm so passionate about it. I think that there is so many people on this planet that are going through life and not finding out who they really are.
Yeah, man.
And they are just stuck in all these mindset and success and money and like just all this rubbish that has been put on them throughout their childhood into their teenage years and all these things. And like, a lot of people, and I definitely did this, like I was the same as you, like, success with the way I was brought up was just working as hard as you possibly could, doing massive hours and a dollar value. Whereas I'm exactly like you. Like, success to me is how much time I can have. Like, success to me is spending time, money, and energy on myself and my business and my team, and creating a culture where everybody's equal, so that everybody in the team, including myself, can take time off and the business keeps operating, so that I can enjoy freedom with my family without having to worry about clients, phone calls, bank accounts, bills getting paid. Like,
hell yeah,
that is absolutely freedom. But that is not what I was brought up to believe freedom was. And I think it is hard. Like, there's still things that I battle with now, but I think I know from the members we have in Live Life Build as well, like, so many people are living their life and having struggles purely because they're holding on to the old
values.
Yeah, old values.
Yeah.
And like, the way I talk about it now, like, when you were born in an Australian hospital and you had Chinese parents, but the wrong parents come and took you home and you went into an Australian home, you would grow up learning English.
Yeah.
But if you got taken home with your own parents, you would get brought up learning Chinese and Chinese cultures. Like, just because you're brought up in a home with certain beliefs, certain values, certain cultures, certain expectations, does not mean that you have to live your life by them.
Absolutely. I think that's what we've just spoken about the whole time. as well in respect to changing those bad habits and those molds. You know what I mean? And that's something that you and I, you want bad enough to be better, and I think that just comes a part of evolving as a person, as a businessman, as a leader, and wanting to change yourself to be better for everyone around you. You know, you can't fill their cups if yours is half empty, and that's probably the most important, like the easiest way to explain it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Because if you're stuck in a bad rut with bad mindset, you got a toxic workplace because it rubs off.
Well, I think everyone. Well, I actually struggle with this sort of stuff and sitting here talking about it, because I always think, like, who am I to be sitting here talking about all this shit? But then I think, well, fuck, I put in a shitload of time, money, and energy to be in the position I am. So, but I think everybody is a reflection of the time, energy, and money they put in. So whatever situation you're in, whether it's the dollars in your bank account, whether it's the relationship you have with your partner, whether it's the relationship you have with your kids, whether it's the quality of jobs you do, like all that stuff is a complete reflection of you.
Of course, yeah, you're the one steering the ship. Eh?
Yeah, and if you want your life to be different, you have to take ownership and responsibility of it.
Absolutely.
No one else is going to change shit.
No. You know, one of the best sayings that changed my life is one that I heard from you. Actually,
nothing happens to you, everything happens because of you.
Absolutely.
That's not me. That's Grant Cadday, mate.
Well, I heard it from you, but you know what I mean. Like I didn't hear it from Grant. I heard it from you in passing. But that there for me was a huge. Like there was a point in my life where I had a really challenging client, and again I was sitting on a couch feeling sorry for myself, anxious as anything, losing weight, lost about 6-7 kilos because I was just like, you know, and I started just adopting that mindset of nothing happens to you and happens because of you, and I'm going, all right, you know, maybe I'm in this situation because sorry, I just realised. So stand up, I was like, he's mad at me.
Can't hear.
And I was sitting there just going, all right, why am I in this situation? You know, did I not communicate properly? Did I not do that? Did I not? So, circling back to what you said, yeah, it's holding yourself accountable. It's wanting to be better. It's wanting to change. It's wanting to put the time and energy into yourself to progress and evolve and move on. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, mate, what are you up to now? Like you've branched out. You're still doing building work.
Yeah. So now that's still punching along, just a little bit more calculated, a little bit more more enjoyable. I'm enjoying it more now than I ever have. Just having like the clients and the jobs that sort of we want to be doing. A couple of years ago now, I think it was like in the middle of COVID. One of my best mates came to me and just went. He just got laid off. Like he was with this company for so long, and they just kind of dropped him like a cold pie. And his missus is in an OT, and went, oh, I'm just struggling to find NDIS builders that just respond and and conversation just evolved, and we ended up starting the company called Livability. So it's Livability Group Services, but it started as Livability by Nailed It. Yeah. And, you know, it was just me and him, and he was just on site, and I sort of run the business. And now we've just got like a huge team. We've got like eight cars or something like that on the road, and just servicing. So we just branched into property maintenance, NDIS stuff, bathrooms. There was also a point of me where like I had a lot of clients coming to me going, do you do bathrooms? Do you do decks? I'm like, nah. Fences? Nah. Do you do this? Nah. Sorry, just builds. Just wanted to focus on that. And I went, passing up so much opportunity here. So we started this other one, and we got, you know, carpenters, maintenance carpenters, landscapers that work for us. We do landscape maintenance, landscaping. We kind of just turnkey stuff. So
it's fantastic that, like, I do feel there's a lot of builders out there and tradies that miss opportunities. Like the skill sets that we have opens up so many doors. Like, so you basically already got a company that's doing the building work, and like now you're doing all the livability stuff, but like it's one thing that I've always thrown the idea around every couple of years. I'm like, we're building all these houses. Why haven't we got a team that actually, like, when we finish a job, we come up with a maintenance schedule or a maintenance plan, and we offer our clients
Absolutely.
like a yearly, like a 3-month fee or something, and it just happens. Like, there's no phone calls. You just go back.
That was how it started. Yeah. Absolutely, because man, I'm not perfect. I got defects on my builds too.
Yeah.
My process, like, I get offended when my clients pick shit because I'm like a perfectionist. So I'm like, yeah, I walk in real confident. Yeah, if you can pick something, I'll give you $100.
No,
and like,
any builder that says they hand over a house defect free to themselves.
Nah, absolutely. You know what I mean? My defect lists are probably a lot smaller than a lot of other people's, but there's definitely stuff on there. Yeah, I'll always own everything that I do, right?
And it's probably painting and silicon and shit.
Like, it is. A lot of the stuff are door binds after 6 months or something like that. But, we have a process for now that I do the defects when we hand over, and then I have a 6-monthly one that I come back, and then I have a 12-month period at the end of the defect period as well, and I go back there and fix all the little bits up. And one day I just had, like, it was during COVID, I had heaps of work on, right? And I'd hand over one, 6 months later I had one there, and I'd go back, and sometimes they're a little bit tough because when you got a lot of work on, the last thing you want to be doing is going defects, right? I don't care what anyone says. It's just on the back of your mind, right? Because you got targets to hit everywhere else. And I had that exact thought of what you was. I'm like, why don't I just have a maintenance dude that I just put in a car and just run around and do maintenance?
Yep.
Never thought anything of it. And then this eventuated, and sure enough, that's exactly what we're doing. So all my nailed it builds, I offer maintenance services. Like, I include pretty much every job I do. I include like 6 months free of little bits and pieces, whether it's your lawns or touch ups and whatnot, included in that as well. And it's just a service that no one else in the industry is offering.
But it's got incredible potential. Like, cause like everyone these days with such busy lives, like everyone wants to know that everything's getting looked after. They don't have to pick up the phone. They don't have to schedule anything in. Like, you do a handover with people. So we don't have that. We go back and do a 12-month check. So like when we hand over a job, it gets scheduled in. Camilla, my wife in the office, just automatically follows the client up 11 months out, says, hey, we've got to book in this checkup. But you've got to have systems and processes that just allow a stress-free process. The client doesn't have to do things. The client doesn't have to be thinking. Like, you don't want to be doing a handover and saying to your client, you have to contact us in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
Because 3 years down the track, they're going to go, shit,
I did that. Yeah.
Didn't ring you. We've got this painting touch-up still to do. Like,
and look, like, I'm not going to lie, sometimes, like, even at the 12-month, you get some defects done, you get some, and they sort of take a little bit longer than they need to sometimes if there is a couple. But the most important thing is answering your phone, man. Like, that's where people lose the faith in you as well. I'll always answer my phone. I'll never push back. Always have the discussion. Nothing's ever a problem. You know what I mean? Everything can always be solved. You've just got to be open-minded and come to an agreement with it all. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing with it all. Answering your phone, communicating,
setting expectations. I hope you're not answering your phone after hours and weekends, mate.
Oh, look, no, that's actually something I've worked on hugely. Yeah, I try. Look, again, you ask my wife, she'll give you a different story. But sometimes if it's schedules are tight and I'm trying to get something over the line, I'll do what I got to do. But most of the time, that's half the reason why I had to break off social media as well, because, man, I was getting home 5, 6 o'clock. I'm sitting there trying to do a post on my phone, man. All my kids want to do is just, they hardly see me. They get a couple of hours before bedtime, and I'm sitting there trying to do a freaking post on my phone, man. Like, it's pathetic. You know what I mean? So, there's beautiful things called scheduling as well. You can schedule posts and do all that sort of stuff. So we had our friends at Blackheart looking after a lot of that stuff for us at one point, but then it becomes not so personable, which is what I found. And I built my brand on personability. So, yeah.
How do you... I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's definitely something I wanted to talk to you about. Like, you did get those guys involved a lot in your socials, and you did manage to keep it very personal. Yeah. Because I think this is a really important one, because if you are going to be putting yourself out there, putting your work out there, you do want it to be personal. And I struggle with this. Like, I know there's a lot of great social media companies out there that are targeting the building industry, but if they've got the same routine and schedule and they're doing it for every single builder and trade they work for, how does that get that personal connection with that builder and their clients?
See, that's a good question too, because well, I've got a good relationship with those guys to begin with. Like when I started using them, they kind of just went out on their own, which is what I really wanted to support young business. That's something I'm passionate about as well. And like just having their creativity, I had the ideas. Like I knew what I wanted to get across, and they just delivered it very well. You know what I mean? And they continued to do that. It is something that, like, even sometimes that they'd mentioned to me, like I'd see a lot of other people have similar videos to me or whatever that was. But a point of difference was the most important thing. Setting trends, I guess you could say, or trying to find that perfect, what do you call it? Yeah, trend or viral video. I tried for so long to get something viral, but it never went viral.
You did pretty well, mate. You did pretty well.
Yeah, look, it's just different. Like sometimes I would, if I'm scrolling on Instagram, it was always for a purpose. I wasn't inspiration. Yeah, it was inspiration. So I was pulling video ideas from other industries and going, how can I utilize that? I mean, there's some videos that I could pull up now and just show you, like, they're not even side updates where one of my guys, I'm sure he fucking loved it. He got to throw a bin at my head. And it was just, it's, just involving them. Like I got one of the other boys in their DTs in a video, you know what I mean?
But you branded them, didn't you?
Yeah, I did brand the DTs. Yeah. Little details. And like that comes down to culture and stuff as well. Yeah. I always tried to show that personability with my staff.
How do you get a team member, mate, to put a pair of nailed DTs on? Like, seriously?
Oh, mate, you don't have to ask Cole twice. I'll tell you that much for free. There was one video where he'd only just started with me. I think it was like a month in. And we did a video, and he was in the background of the video, and he pulled his pants down. And I said, mate, if you're going to do that, at least just come in front, like just come and present. Yeah. He's like, all right. And he just pulled off his clothes, and we did an intro. I think it was like 2019 or something. It was an intro to the year. And I was like, hey guys, Antonio from Nailed It, we're over here. 2019 is going to be, and he just walked straight past, nail belt on in his undies. And it was just classic. But that's just, again, it's culture stuff. Like I love my team. They're like my family, you know what I mean? And I tried to get him involved wherever possible. It's just funny, man. Like that's what, for me, for the people that I build for, like they want that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if they don't want that, then they're my wrong client.
You know what I mean? This is what I try and tell everyone. Like you're attracting people that are coming to you because they like your personality. Yeah. They like that you're a family man. They like that you're, whatever it may be, you're into your camping, you're into your full driving, you're into your artwork, like whatever it may be. But when when you get that personal connection, it's like I said, it's where the magic happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's sort of the concept that I've always had is like if they're going to whinge about, a client doesn't like what video that is or whatever, well, we're straight up not aligned. And I've always been a big believer of that. If we're not connecting at an early, like I've honestly let a couple of jobs go in the past, where we're just not quite seeing eye to eye, and there was no arguments or anything like that ever, but I could just see that. I'm like, like if this, these things are getting thrown around now, what's going to happen when the pressure's on? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So mate, what advice do you give for young guys that are out there or anyone, any builders and tradies that are out there that think they're in a hard situation? Like, what's some advice for them to just try and get things ramping up a little bit?
Just focus on yourself. That's probably like the biggest one, is just like, if you are one of those people that sits on your phone all the time, just get off the phone and actually break down your business, understand your business. That is the most important thing. Understand that you're not just running a construction company or a construction business or a trade service. You're running a company. You know what I mean? It's a personal brand. Brand is everything. Brand everything.
Yeah.
And your image, what you put out is what people perceive you as. Yeah.
That's what I know because I was there for years. Like when you're in that position where your cash flow's poor, you're picking and choosing what bills to pay, you're having issues with clients, you're putting out fires every day. Like it can be hard to pick your feet up and start dragging them around and show up. But you have to, don't you? Like you've got to bite the bullet. You've got to put the brave face on. You have to show up every day and just keep chipping away, keep getting those small wins, keep doing the little improvements.
It's bit by bit, and again, it's a slow burn, and it doesn't have to be a slow burn. You can look at it any way you want to, but something like if you look at Nailed It versus Livability, like Nailed It's like 9, nearly 10 years old, Livability is like 2.5 years old, and we're doing like fantastic numbers versus what Nailed It was 2 years into business. But that just comes down, like I've learnt a lot in the last 9 years, you know what I mean, or 10 years. And it just gives you, obviously you've got more confidence. Like the more experience you have, the more situations you've been in, whatever you learn, as long as you're willing to learn and understand and break down that situation and either make sure you don't do it again or do better next time. That's the most important thing. It's just understanding the situation.
So I like that you touched on the learning, because that's really all it is, isn't it? Like instead of getting the shits and focusing on the problem, just turn it into a situation and focus on the solution.
Absolutely. Well, you have to understand the problem and then build off that. Like, you know, cash. You mentioned cash flow before. Like that is a big problem for a lot of people, because the minute they get 50, 100, 200 grand in their bank, they think they've got a lot of money. They don't realize in 5 days' time they're going to get bloody 80 grand's worth of bills, and they've just went out and bought 2 trucks. You know what I mean? That is, especially in COVID, with all these young builders coming into the game and all that sort of stuff. Like it was easy money, it was free money. That is something that I encourage all the younger builders to do that have come in at a time where work is easy to get.
Know your numbers.
Understand your business. Just understand your business, because like I was grateful that I started back in 2014, I think it was. I think GFC was 2009, around that time.
Yeah, 9, yep.
Yeah. And like I was 22. No one wanted to spend 20 grand with me. You know what I mean? Like, no shit. I had to get...
Is your background carpentry?
Yeah. So I finished my apprenticeship. I didn't go to school. He's nothing. I went straight into my apprenticeship, smashed my apprenticeship out, got signed out a little bit earlier, stayed with my boss, and for the 8 months or whatever it was, and just started Nailed It carpentry and maintenance at that point, and until I just had enough work to go out on my own. But that was a really hard sort of, like there wasn't much work around to begin with back then, and it was not meaning to offend anybody, but it was an old man's game, the industry back then, whereas now it's a bit more of a young man's game. Technology sort of takes over.
Definitely.
So I was going through that point back then of, you're young, like you don't know anything. You know what I mean?
Do you, and I don't know, nothing against your boss, I guess, if he's ever listening, but I feel, again, like we talked about with the way we're brought up and childhood and all that thing, I know from my experience, like I was just doing, when I started business, what I'd seen my bosses do, which was wrong, and running terrible businesses. Like, unless, again, you've got to break the mold. Like, did you have bad habits that were a flow-on effect from the way you'd been taught through your apprenticeship?
Like, yeah, now that you ask that question, if I look back on it, yes. I was very grateful how I finished my apprenticeship with my bosses. Like, I had valuable lessons that I learnt from them. But yeah, it was the hard work, it was the stress, it was just the long hours, it was dealing with clients and being, you know what I mean? Like, I saw a lot of that. Now that you actually say that, I'm like, they're the molds that I'm breaking through at the moment, you know what I mean? Or the last, 2 years. Absolutely. Because that's the work ethic. It's like you work hard and you're trying to earn respect of people by working hard and big hours.
Yeah.
And that's something these days, especially on social media, that everyone feels the need to tell everyone how hard they're working. That's something I've never been into, you know what I mean? Like, and I work as hard as I want to work.
Yeah.
No one needs to freaking know what time I get to the shed in the morning and what time I leave.
Yeah.
I think you're a fool if you're doing that these days.
It's funny, hey, like, because everything's perception.
Yeah.
Like, everything's perception. And, like, it's all about working smarter, not harder. Like, that's, I forget something I heard was, like, you can only ever earn a certain amount of money with your hands and your time. Like, if you want to be successful, you've got to think outside the box, and you've got to build teams that can do things that you can't do. Like, focus on the things you're good at doing and bring people into the business to do things that you don't like doing or you can't do. And
it's actually a conversation I had with my younger brother the other day. You know, he's just young and eager and wants to take on the world as well. And I said the exact same thing. I said, mate, there's only so many hours in a day. And there's only so much you can do personally. And you're going to get to a point where you can't earn anymore or do anymore. So you got to start thinking a bit smarter about things.
Yeah.
And like what you said before, like I think before we were recording, and we were just talking about, you know, being, obviously everyone's version of success is different or whatever, but your first form of income, which, you know, whether it was DPS or something else, but for me it was nailed it. Like it's you got to think outside the box. You got to do things, other things to make a little bit extra money, because you are just going to get to a point where you've either had enough and you're not going to earn any more than that, or you can, but it's taking the extra leap, or is it actually what you want to be doing for the rest of your life? You know what I mean?
I'm a big fan, mate. You've got to make your money work for you.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to do that, because just like most of the stuff we've talked about today, like I've been and done all of it. Like I've always earned good money, but I used to spend money instead of holding on to the cash. Like I was always looking for that quick reward, that quick dopamine hit. Like
which everyone still does.
Yeah, and mate, all that did was put me under a huge amount of pressure and stress, and was a big part of why we got to 2010, 2012. And even though on the outside, well, Brisbane's most awarded builder those couple of years, it was a shit show. And whereas now I've learned, like, you have to make your money work for you, and whether, like, hold on to a bit, save up for deposits, invest in other, whatever it is, start little side businesses, or invest in property, like create other passive income. Like, everyone's different. You might get into shares, whatever. But I think there's very few highly successful people in this world that have done it from their day job.
Yeah.
Like you've got to have other things going on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think that comes, it whether you call it research or whatever, but again, for me, those side hustles stem from a passion. Do you know what I mean? And for you as well, by the sounds of what you've got burning on the side, but
everything I do revolves around the building, mate.
Yeah.
Like, I love building, so I've just branched out from it.
Yeah. But it's thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
It's doing something different. That's the same thing about our farms that we were just talking about. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Like, it's what we know, right? It's property. Yeah. It's building. It's that we're grateful that we're blessed with the skills and attributes to be able to do half the things ourselves, save money where we can, or we're smart enough to pay someone else to do it and go make our money somewhere else while someone else is doing as well.
Definitely.
And, you know, you have to do those little things to just make an extra quid here and there.
Yeah. So, mate, we're not far off wrapping it up. What's like, you just touched on the farms. Like, I was stoked when I seen you posting that. Well, I think you've only done a handful of posts now, but
yeah,
it's so good. I love seeing people do well, mate. I think it's also,
I think it's a great trait to have as well. I'm very similar to that.
I think just, you've got to take your hat off to people that are putting in the effort and putting themselves out there and getting the rewards. Like, so yeah, good on you for doing what you're doing. Like, thanks, what's the story behind that? Like, you've got a bit of a farm stay happening?
Yeah. So that's just a little, it's in Kenilworth. So it was originally called Adelong Farm. And I'm a bit of a superstitious person. It's like renaming a boat, right? It's bad luck. So we kept the name, except we called it Adelong Farm Retreat. And the intention is to be a little retreat getaway. So the house actually has the 6 acres has 2 houses on it, a big house and a little cottage. And we've just added a bedroom and a bathroom to the big one. And people can book them, whether it's a business conference or a retreat, or, you know, or just a little family getaway for a couple of days. The intention is to go out there and relax and just enjoy the countryside, you know, get away from it.
Yeah,
just
it's
disconnect.
so awesome.
Yeah.
And it's a reflection of you and your passion. Like, you can now share that with other people. Like, I think it's fantastic. Absolutely.
It's just like, it's what you know, we were talking about before, and much similar to what you're sort of creating on yours. But again, back to the gratitude side, the way I looked at it is like, I'm always building houses like yourself for people that have worked really hard. Like, that's their biggest goal and a really big investment for them, right? And I've got a lot of followers and people that watch and love it and go, oh, you know, I wish I could have something like that or whatever. I'm grateful to be able to, you know, buy this and renovate it and build it and create something where everyone can enjoy. And like that's a newfound passion of mine and my wife's, where we're just like, fuck, like, who are we going to buy this for everyone else to enjoy? Like, but I'm really excited about it. You know what I mean? Because
I can tell, mate.
It's a risk like anything. I'm not afraid of a good risk. And at the end of the day, like, the way I look at it is it's just money. You know what I mean? Like, everything's recoverable at the end of the day, and it's a property. It's beautiful. Everyone else can go out there and enjoy it. I can take our friends there if we want to and just have a weekend away. Yeah, it's exciting, you know?
Yeah. I think I like that, like, it is very, very similar to what we're both doing. Like, we have the same sort of thing with this farm that we've got a DA in for at the moment. Like, one thing that I, like, over the years, like, we've done a lot of incredible properties and projects and things, but there's so many things that I want to do that people won't let me do. So, like, the cabins we want to put on our place, like, I want to experiment. I want to
think outside the box.
Out there, and the same deal. Give people the opportunity to go and stay in incredibly well built, architecturally designed cabins. That and where our aim is to have all of them very, very different, and each one will be its own experience. So that someone that goes there feels like they've got to go back whatever 10, 12, 14, 16 times until they've tried all the cabins.
Yeah.
Because I just think builders have so much potential. Like, builders are so much more than just
untapped potential.
Yeah, like we really, I don't know what it is. Like, the industry is very old fashioned. I think people's perception of builders has been tarnished over the years. I do think a lot of people just think of builders as just another tradie with a
high qualification.
High qualification.
Is that an insult? No, not really.
But I think it is. Like, they don't realise how much we have to deal with, how much we have to, responsibility, liability, all those types of things. But I know there is so many incredible builders out there that just have incredible passion. Like, they're craftsmen, they love what they do, and it's so sad when the business side of things
lets them down
and they fall apart.
Opportunity, I see, you know what I mean? That's the biggest thing. Like, opportunity knocks on everyone's door. It's whether you decide to open it or not is primarily up to you, and it passes just as quickly as it comes as well. So if it's there and you've got the opportunity to grab it. You know what I mean? And that's something for me. Like, I see opportunity. I'm not afraid to take anything, think outside the box. Within reason, though, you have to be able to take a step back and think about, fuck, is this, you know, can I do this right now? Or is it something that I've just got to wait a little bit longer to do, you know?
But always, I don't know about you, I think we sound very similar, but, like, I always dig a little bit deeper. Like, never say yes, never say no. Keep the conversation going and just see what the possibilities are. My wife hates it, but every day there's a new idea. But
it is, absolutely. And that's that dig deep comment actually comes back to me. I was with, I don't know where I was recently, and someone else's. He run his own business as well, and I'm sure you can relate to this. He made a mention of digging deep. And it was like he was actually talking about him building a house and his builder and, you know, a couple of variations and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes, someone said to me once, when times get tough in business or whatever, and, you know, whether, you know, the cash flow is just a little bit not so good at one point, or, you know, you just got a really big challenge that you're facing, whatever, he's just dig deep. Just dig deep at that point, because it's only a short term. You know what I mean? And you'll always pull through. So just dig deep, scrape the bottom of the barrel and get through it. And I went, fuck, that was relatable, because I've been there a couple of times, you know, and it doesn't even have to be with work. It can just be like personal.
Yeah.
You know, with these farms or whatever, everything's good, everything's smooth sailing. You might want to bite off more than you can chew at one point. That's what I do anyway. You know what I mean? And you just dig deep and get it fucking done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought I'd touch base, and you said that and it just triggered something.
Well, I think that's what you have to do. Like, I don't. One thing that I really hope I get across in these podcasts and with everything I'm doing in the industry, like, anything's achievable.
Yeah.
but you have to put in the effort. Like, anybody can achieve anything. You can be the best builder. You can have the best clients. Clients can get the best projects they possibly can. You can be profitable, be successful, sustainable. But yeah, you do have to dig deep. You've got to put in the hard yards, and
you got to want it more than the person before you.
Yeah, commitment,
after you.
consistency, all those types of things. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I actually feel like we could keep talking all night.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
We've had a few guys on for round 2, so we might have to get you back for round 2. But
absolutely. Thanks
before we go, just give us a shout out. Where can people find you? What do they look for?
Oh, look, Instagram, Nailed the Constructions, no E, N-A-I-L-D. And or my personal one's Antonio DeLuca.
And what's the new ventures? Livability?
Livability. That's also on Instagram, and Adelong Retreat.
Yeah, awesome,
Yeah,
mate.
so
Well,
just a couple of things on the IG.
We might have to hit you up and come and stay up there one time. We love it up around Kenilworth.
Absolutely.
The cheese factory and everything up there.
Maybe we'll film the next podcast up there, mate.
For sure. Let's lock it in. But guys, thanks very much for listening. Hope you've got a lot out of it. And look, if you want to improve your business, go and check us out on the socials, Quoties, Live Like Build, DPS Constructions. We are here to help. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Are you ready to build smarter, live better, and enjoy build? Then head over to livelikebuild.com/elevate to get started.
Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Dwayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.